Hello, everyone. My name is Randa, and I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of NovaSonix Healthcare, where we specialize in developing advanced ultrasound scanning devices to improve the diagnostics and monitoring of musculoskeletal diseases and injuries. I come from a background of medical biophysics, and particularly my research interests revolve around advancing ultrasound technology, for various applications. Our startup spun out of Western University, specifically Robots Research Institute, where we collaborated with Doctors Aaron Fenster and Dr. Emily Lalone, who are also co-founders of our company, to develop the ultrasound technology that we're currently commercializing. So, just a little bit about our startup, the problem that we're tackling, and the solution that we're commercializing. When I first started my graduate research at Western University, I was developing a advanced ultrasound technology to detect early biomarkers of hand and wrist osteoarthritis. And so a year into my master's, we had a prototype that was working pretty well. And we got the opportunity to pitch our technology to a local bone and joint research institute to start up our company. And so we pitched to them and we actually ended up winning the first prize. And so we took that prize and we used it to start up the company and start with the commercialization process of our technology. Now, we initially were marketing our technology as a device that can detect early biomarkers of hand and wrist osteoarthritis. But as we spoke to more patients and more clinicians, we realized that the problem was actually much broader. In Canada, patients with musculoskeletal diseases and injuries have to wait at least 89 days to get access to an MRI if they need advanced imaging. And in the US, patients have to wait at least 2 weeks before they can get approval for MRI access. And so we realized that the ultrasound technology that we're working on can actually provide an accessible alternative to MRI imaging so that clinicians can have an accessible tool to gather the 3D high resolution images that they need for the appropriate diagnoses for their patients at the point of care. And so essentially, we've developed an attachment that attaches to any commercially available ultrasound probe and turns it into a 3D scanner. And onboard AI algorithms will detect and quantify different disease biomarkers, such as changes in joint inflammation, changes in cartilage thickness, amongst others. And so, as I said previously, this essentially provides clinicians with an accessible tool to not only diagnose hand and wrist arthritis earlier, but to also use it in general for musculoskeletal applications rather than relying on MRI. And that way we can reduce the burden and the imaging backlog that our MRI facilities currently face and provide patients with the answers they need when they need them. So, as of right now, our technology has been validated through multiple clinical trials, and we've actually validated it against MRI to make sure that it's detecting these disease biomarkers. As good as MRI or even better. And we actually found out that 3D ultrasound is more sensitive than MRI to changes in different biomarkers such as joint inflammation, which was fantastic news for us. We've been able to raise a significant amount of non-dilutive funding through grants and pitch competitions, but right now we're gearing towards applying for regulatory approvals since we've significantly validated and de-risked our technology, and we are currently running demos at local hospitals to convert physician interest into signed LOIs to make sure that we have a list of potential customers by the time we enter market. And so we're planning to begin our pre-seed round early next year to fund our regulatory pathway, achieve various types of regulatory certifications, such as the ISO 13485 certification, set up a quality management system, develop our design for manufacture, and partner with a manufacturing facility that can help us scale up our manufacturing. My interest in orthopedics and orthopedic research began when I was in high school. I took a kinesiology course and just musculoskeletal research that course really sparked my interest in musculoskeletal research. But at the time, I had a very rigid plan that I would get into my undergraduate studies. I would study biochemistry, and I would proceed in academia and do research in biochemistry because that was my primary interest at the time. Now, 2 years into my undergraduate degree, I realized that I really missed the mathematics and the physics, and the biochemistry degree was kind of robbing me of that. And so, in my third year of my undergraduate studies, I ended up switching into medical biophysics, and that really kind of brought my attention to the world of medical imaging. And through that, I was introduced into how important medical imaging is in the field of orthopedics. And so by the time I was graduating my undergraduate degree, I had a supervisor at Western. Her name is Emily Lalone. She's also one of the co-founders of our company. She reached out to me saying that she's recruiting master's students for her labs and she would be interested in meeting. And so I met with her and I found out that her research is primarily focused on using medical imaging to detect early biomarkers of osteoarthritis, specifically in the upper limb. And so, as I mentioned previously, that was kind of how I begun my graduate studies and my graduate research, is that I was using ultrasound and developing advanced ultrasound technology so that I can detect early biomarkers of hand and wrist osteoarthritis. So that's kind of my journey into how I got into orthopedic research. So, participating in the Orthopedic Research Society business competition really allowed us to connect with the broader ORS community. And when you go and you pitch at these competitions, even if you don't win, I mean, first of all, winning the competition really validates your idea and confirms to you that you're actually solving a clinical need that actually exists. But even if you don't win these awards, you end up connecting with potential collaborators, potential clinicians that can actually end up being your customers down the road, and you can end up even connecting with patients who can become patient partners. And so that's really where ORS played a large role, is that pitching at this competition really allowed us to connect with other physicians that were able to, describe how much they're impacted by limited access to advanced imaging such as MRI, and how that impacts their patients and how our technology can really help them in their clinics. And so ORS definitely helped us connect with clinicians and potential collaborators. I think my answer to the previous question kind of alluded to my answer to this question, is you should always apply to these pitch competitions, even if you don't win, because they help you refine your business idea. And again, you end up connecting with clinicians or researchers or whoever your product like the customer base that your product is targeting. You end up connecting with these potential customers, and you really understand the different ways that you should be refining your product to actually fulfill a clinical need that they have. And I always like to share this, but when I first started my graduate studies, my supervisor, Dr. Aaron Fenster, also one of the co-founders of our company, anytime I would be hesitant to apply to a conference or apply to an award, he would also always say, "What's the worst that could happen? They're going to say no." And so that kind of helps put things into perspective, is the worst that can happen is you don't win, but you gain the experience of engaging with other people and seeing how you can better refine your pitch, how you can better refine your product. You'll never, even if you don't win the actual award, you're always going to walk out with something valuable. My favorite thing about ORS, especially the annual meetings, is that it's the perfect place to find any researcher or any collaborator or any clinician that you want to meet and you want to talk to. Whether you have some research that you're looking for a collaborator for, whether you're a startup like us and you're looking for clinicians who can be potential customers or early adopters, the ORS annual meetings are the perfect place to network. Not only is the ORS annual meeting a great place to pitch your startup idea or pitch your own research, but it's also a great place to read about other people's research and hear about other people's research. And that could potentially allow you to expand the focus of your own research in your own lab. Or if you're a startup like us, it might open up your eyes to new potential use cases for your technology.